because our deepest wounds often reveal our greatest purpose. All right, welcome to the Court of Connection. I have a good friend of mine on the show today. Her name is Opal. I met her at the somatic workshop I did back in February, and I have had the journey and pleasure of just being able to see this transition happen live and in real time. And we're so excited to talk about the topic of leaving one old life behind and stepping into something new and brilliant and aligned. And Opal has spent the last 3 months with me in a small group container, and I've just really, really come to like adore you, love you, respect you. And yeah, I'm just excited to share you with everyone. So welcome, Opal.
Oh, thank you so much, Danielle. I appreciate the invite.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so Opal, you built something successful, sold it recently, chose something that most people dream about but rarely allow themselves, which is space, travel, pleasure, freedom. And now, for those that don't know you, tell us who you were before. What was life like up to this last chapter? What was your business?
Well, I owned, at one point, 3 tattoo and piercing studios in the Seattle area. And I have been in the tattoo and piercing industry since 1998, almost 30 years. I opened my first studio in 2009 and bought my second one in 2015, third one in 2018, combined all of them in 2020 during COVID. During that time, I tattooed for 17 years and completely burnt out of tattooing because I did it way too much and expected perfection out of myself. I mean, I specialized in portraits, which is literally like the ultimate, you have to be perfect, which is kind of a good description of, like you said, who were you before this? I wanted to be perfect. I wanted to have that air of perfection, and in my mind, if I did that, then everybody would love me. And it is so the opposite of that.
Absolutely. So what did success mean to you at that point in your life?
I think if you would have asked me then, I would have just said what I heard on every podcast and in every book that I read, which was, it's still true, but it means something different to me now. But that's the freedom to do whatever you want, whenever you want, with whoever you want. But really what that meant to me was being financially successful and having status. That's why I owned 3 studios, is because one studio didn't get me the friends and the respect that I thought it would. So I got another one, and that didn't work either. And then when I got a third, I thought, well, certainly now. And that's just not how it works. And I didn't know that. So I was just chasing acceptance.
Yeah. So when did you decide that you were going to give up the business? Was it at Bridge? Was it before that?
It was well before that. Yeah. I think when COVID hit, I was in the middle of remodeling one of my studios. Well, one of the places that we had moved to. We hadn't moved into the location yet when everything got shut down. And I remember standing in the middle of my partially remodeled studio, getting the word from the governor that all the businesses had to close. And I had to text 28 people and say, y'all need to file for unemployment. And the one part that I was really proud of is that most tattoo and piercing studios, the actual tattooers and piercers, are independent contractors. So there's no hope of anything like unemployment. But I switched over to employees because I wanted to create an awesome workplace for tattooers and piercers, because there's not a lot. There's really fun shops, but there's not a lot of places who offer things like benefits and paid time off and an actual career that has the things that you need to build a future for yourself. And that's what I wanted to offer people. And so in that moment, that paid off because everyone was able to file for unemployment. And I was really proud of that. But I personally pretty much disassociated in that moment as I had never consciously realized it. But my entire identity was being a tattoo shop owner. And so in that moment that that was taken away, I didn't know who I was anymore because I had never become anybody but that. And so I had a really, really rough time. I think it was 3 months completely alone during lockdown. And when you're in that kind of isolation, I mean, that's why they punish people in prison with isolation.
Right.
We are not designed to be completely isolated from other humans for any length of time. So I had sort of an entire restructuring of my mind and my identity and everything else. And that wasn't exactly when I decided that I needed to get out of the business, but it definitely led to that decision. I think that the final decision wasn't until about 2 or 3 years ago now.
Mm. Who did you learn how to build like an empire from or business from? Do you come from a family of entrepreneurs?
No, not at all. There are several real estate investors in my family. My grandpa was, my mom has done a little bit of real estate investing, but not enough to make a lot of money, not enough to be rich by any means. Um, so I think that, well, I don't think that, I know that I self-educated myself from the time that I was, I think, 18. I realized that wealthy people knew something that I didn't know and that no one in my knew. And I set out to discover that information. So I started just furiously reading books about wealth and money and investing and anything I could get my hands on. And I think that the first book, which I don't recommend the author, but I do recommend the book, and that is Rich Dad Poor Dad. It's kind of the intro to so many entrepreneurs' journey. It is a good foundation. I just don't agree with his politics.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah, it's so interesting that we spend all this time in school learning shit we're never gonna need, right? But we don't learn things like how to do your taxes, how to invest, how to save, right? They don't want us in that position. And and so you really do have to like pull teeth to get that information unless you come from a family of wealth who understands it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they teach it from the time their kids are little babies. That's exactly what I figured out. I was like, wait, they know things that we don't know,
Mm.
and they're not telling us.
Yeah.
And now, like you alluded to, I believe that's very intentional.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what were some of the things that came up as you make this decision, like, I am ready to leave this business behind. Obviously, a couple of years go by. What were some of the underlying fears that maybe slowed that process down for you?
I think the biggest, false belief was that I had to be profitable to sell. And during COVID, we were very profitable before COVID, but after COVID, it just was going downhill and downhill and downhill. We were not profitable. I think we were only in profit 3 months out of the last 5.5 years. And
Mm.
it was barely. And so my thought process was, I do need to get out of this business, but I have to make it profitable before I could sell it. And that turns out to not be the case at all. And I really wish that I would have gone for it when I first made the decision, because I waited way too long and it destroyed a lot of relationships because of that.
Yeah. Yeah, and on the flip side, what an experience to get to go to Bridge and Extreme and learn a deeper, a deeper way to hold yourself and to stretch your capacity and then make the decision, right? How might the decision have been different pre going to bridge and extreme versus making the decision after?
Well, the final decision was made pre-Bridge and Extreme. I had gotten a valuation of the business and offered it. Mm, I'm thinking about the timeline. I'm not good with timelines, so the decision was definitely made before that. What Bridge and Extreme really helped me with was getting back my confidence to be a leader. Because through COVID and all of that, I had completely lost my confidence in my leadership abilities. And since we weren't profitable, I had decided, because I tend to blame myself for everything, I had decided that that was my fault and that I was a failure as a business owner.
Mm.
And when my past identity was completely wrapped up in being a business owner, deciding that you're a failure at everything you used to think you were has a big impact. So Bridge and Extreme reminded me that I am a leader and helped me step back into that power somatically and with my voice. And I started to actually believe it again and realize that I did have a lot of the blame for my business failing, but it wasn't entirely my.
Yeah, I mean, having COVID happen all at once is a massive part of why things worked out the way that they did, you know? I would honestly, I would say probably more than your leadership, you know? So many businesses went under at that time. There's iconic businesses, family-owned businesses that have been open for 30 plus years here in Austin that shut, and it was like devastating, you know? So, yeah,
Yeah.
huge deal. So, we talked about like grieving this identity as like an entrepreneur, obviously, and a tattoo artist, and kind of this like a person who is astute in this industry, right? But what other identities do you feel like you're going to have to grieve leaving this business behind?
Hmm.
Or
Um,
grieve in general, maybe not even identities, but just grieve in general.
mhm. I think there's the biggest grief is the loss of the relationships that I had. Because a lot of people were very hurt that I was selling the business. They were very hurt by the way that I went about selling the business. I also have regrets about that. Um, but people love this business.
Mm.
And people that worked there, some people had been there for 15 years. You know, this was a huge part of their lives. And the way that I went about this, although I did put thought into it, I didn't anticipate a lot of things. And even though I told people months before it happened, it is still a shock to hear that this place that you've worked at for so long is going to be completely different now.
Mm.
And maybe nothing like the pieces of it that you loved. Um, so a lot of people were upset with me, and I understand that. And I didn't handle those things well. So I think the biggest thing that I'm grieving is the relationships that I lost and the people that I let down.
Yeah.
Um, and that feeds back into me thinking, oh, I'm not a good leader. And to build that back up just over and over and over again. Yeah. And then it's taken me multiple meditation sessions to really absorb that I am not a business owner anymore.
Mm.
Because it's been that way. I mean, even before I opened the business in 2009, I was an independent contractor. So I was technically still a business owner. So since 1998, I've been a business owner. And now the idea that that doesn't exist is very, I don't know that I've actually completely processed that yet.
Yeah. What have the moments of stillness felt like for you?
Mm, I love my moments of stillness. Um, well, I should say in the evening, I love my moments of stillness. In the daytime, I always feel like I need to be productive.
Mm-hmm.
Time there's that guilt when I'm trying to be still or rest, um, that says you should be doing something right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so that's hard. But in
Yeah.
the evening, delicious. Love it. There's no pressure to do anything, and I can
Yeah.
just be still and sit with it. I love it.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that interesting though? It needs to be the right environment. It needs, like, in my mind, nighttime equals I get to rest, right? That's what everyone else is doing. So it's like um, it's easier for me to slip into relaxation or calm or just allowing myself to rest. And I remember
Yeah.
when I quit my job too, I had such a hard time with that at first. Um, because as you know, I took a couple of months just to not do anything, where I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to enjoy life. I'm going to do what I want when I want. And there were so many moments where I created this story of, and it's always like, I always turn it to what other people will think. What would other people think that I'm not like building this business yet? And it's like, this is your life. What does it matter what anybody else thinks? But I kept going there thinking people are watching me, wondering when I'm going to actually take action. And and then I would
Mm.
sit on my couch and shame myself for just not doing anything.
Well,
Um, it's such a
mhm.
real thing in a world where we have been conditioned as women to um, like partake in this hustle culture and not in the feminine, which is allowing, receiving, creating, right, from a place of calm and still and openness.
Yeah, definitely. Do you feel like it's easier for you to do that now?
Yeah, absolutely. So much about the work that we did in Bridge and even just in the container of as I'm stepping into actually building now, because I went back to my old job temporarily, and now I'm in the building phase. I I have allowed myself to go at the pace that I want, where it's like created the LLC on Friday. Old me would have been like, I got to get everything done now. If I don't get it done now, and now it's Tuesday. I got my EIN number today, and then I might go to the bank later.
Like, yeah.
I don't know. I might go to the bank later if I feel like it. And
Mhm.
so a lot of that narrative has subsided, but there was definitely like a lot of moments of discomfort and this delusion that people are like preying on my downfall, or for this thing not to work out, or for me not to, you know what I mean? The mind is a crazy,
Yeah.
crazy place.
Yeah. One of the things, I think one of the best things I learned from my mom is that she always said, everybody is so worried about themselves, they're not even thinking about you.
100%.
Just almost like backhanded, not compliment, but statement. But at the same time, it's like, absolutely. Everyone is so worried about themselves, they don't care what we're doing.
Totally. Totally.
Yeah.
So looking back when the decision came to you to give up the business, did you notice it in your body before your mind?
Hmm. Can you ask that in a different way?
Yeah, did you notice your body communicating with you about wanting to make this decision to leave the business before your mind made the decision?
Mm. Yes. So during COVID, since I wasn't actually tattooing anymore, I said when we were able to open again, I said, well, I'll just stay home because I'm just another body breathing in this space. I don't need to be there, so I'll stay home. And we were able to build systems to the point where I didn't need to be there at all.
Mhm.
And so whenever I was there, um, I felt like I was in the way. I felt like people didn't want me there. I felt like I didn't have anywhere to literally even to stand. Um, and so my body was just like, run away from this place. And anytime that I was like, I should go to the studio, I haven't been there for a while, it was like, oh, don't go there. Don't go. Um, and there was also a lot of trauma connected to the physical space, connected to my bad decisions and people leaving and being mad at me and all of this stuff. So my body was like, do not go there. And we should never not want to be in our own business, you know?
Right. Yeah.
And there was just this absolute rebellion of even working on anything for the business. Even when I had to get on calls with the bookkeepers, it would be like, I don't want to do this. Like everything in me was saying, I don't want to be in this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Your body literally telling you, we are out of alignment. We've got to do something about this. This is not it. Yeah.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
yeah. So, what is your plan? What are you doing
Oh,
next?
so
This is where it gets
at one
fun.
point I was posting, this is where it's fun and exciting. This is where my body says yes.
Yeah.
I was posting on TikTok for a little while videos saying my future is my boyfriend.
Mm.
He is so good to me.
Yes, yes.
So the plan is actually, let me back up. A little over a year ago, I think it was maybe even a year and a half ago now, but like I said, I'm not good with timelines. I was standing in my living room and I always have a bag for the thrift store that I just throw things in whenever I decide to. Um, and I saw something on the cabinet in my living room and I was like, oh, I should put that in the thrift store bag because I don't want that anymore. And then I started looking at everything on that and I was like, I don't want this. I don't want any of this stuff. I don't want anything in this fucking room. I don't want my boyfriend anymore. I don't want my stuff. I don't want to be in this house. Like I had this moment of just like, fuck all of my possessions. I don't need any of this stuff and I don't want it anymore. So I broke up with my boyfriend and started taking carloads of stuff to the thrift store. Started posting stuff for sale on Facebook Marketplace and on like the clothing resale places like Poshmark. I am still in the process of selling things. This room is actually, I was worried about the echo before we got on because this room is empty. I'm going to be selling this dust soon. Basically, I'm selling everything that I own except for my real estate and going down to a couple of suitcases. And the plan is to move out of this house, rent it out, and I will initially hit the road in my car and drive around to a few places to see friends. And I will be coming to Austin to see you. And then at some point, my rough idea right now is maybe I'll stay in Austin for a couple of months, maybe sell my car there, and then head to Thailand first, and then just start traveling the world. So the plan is to travel full time, chasing trainings, education, places that I want to be, visiting friends, and getting all of the education that I need to build and launch the next business.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like you're in a position to kind of give a sneak preview of what you're thinking you're going to build next? Or should we keep that zip tied?
I can tell you the trainings that I'm getting, and I can talk a little bit about it, but I'm not entirely sure. First of all, I'll be travel blogging. I don't know about an actual blog, but I'll be posting stuff on TikTok and on Instagram about my travels. And I'm going to start posting soon just about the process of selling everything and um, the emotions and the thought processes that are going into all of this because it's really scary. like
Yeah.
this is not something I'm taking lightly. I don't think this is going to be all roses and butterflies, like at all. Um, and
It's a
then I already went.
huge, massive deal.
It's a huge deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and I like a lot of my stuff. So I'm like, oh man, like I don't want to get rid of all this stuff, but I'm going to. I already went to a 28-day breathwork facilitator training in Greece this last November. Then Bridge and Extreme. I'll be going into the embodied facilitator program that they offer as well. I just signed up for, I think it's called NCI. It's a body language, and I'm really bummed that I can't remember the name of the guy that runs NCI, but it's all about basically reading people. And his is from a CIA perspective, but for me, it's from a somatic perspective of if people are doing breath work, I want to see in their body if there's any sign that they just flipped into like a trauma or something like that. I'm getting sound healing training. And then a big one is going to be Tantra and other areas like that. There's, of course, I'm not remembering the other one right now. But anyway, a lot of stuff that leads to bringing us back to our bodies, feeling like we own our bodies again. If there's any part of us that we feel like we don't own anymore, that it feels like someone took from us, and being able to sink into and experience pleasure and joy, and then stepping into a partner space where you can experience connection and pleasure with another person as well.
Mm. That sounds amazing, girl. Sign me up. I'm coming with you. So,
Please do.
yeah, how fun would that be? I'll like just hitch a ride for part of it and then
Yeah.
back to America. So
Yes.
you're fully embodying and choosing a life of pleasure. What does pleasure mean to you?
It's aliveness. I mean, that instantly, that was the word that came to me. I don't believe that we are meant to struggle and be sad and not have deeply connected relationships. I believe that human beings are built for connection and pleasure. Um, and that's truly being alive and allowing ourselves to experience what these bodies that we were so graciously and kindly allowed to inhabit for this lifetime is capable of. We're capable of experiencing so much pleasure and joy that I want to help people tap into that. And that just made me think of the alternate to that, which is that we're also capable of so much pain and sadness. And I've had experiences in my life, like I got in a motorcycle accident and ended up with the flesh-eating virus, which is called necrotizing fasciitis. Half of my left leg is a scar because that virus basically ate all of the flesh down to the muscle. So I know what it is to experience incredible pain and then sadness. I've had struggles with depression off and on very intensely since 2020. And so I know what it is to be in pain physically and mentally. And I also know what it is to be in deep pleasure physically and mentally and connection. And I think that a lot of people haven't tapped into their full capability of experiencing that pleasure and connection. And I honestly believe that the world would be a beautiful place if everybody was regularly, every single day, experiencing deep connection and pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think are some of the reasons why people won't allow themselves to feel pleasure, to experience pleasure?
Oh, there's so many reasons why. I feel like there's as many reasons why as there are people that experience that,
Mm.
But a lot of it is trauma. Um, a lot of it is, um, when they tapped on those experiences or feelings when they were kids, somebody came along and told them that that wasn't okay.
Mhm.
And so their mind wrote a script that said pleasure and joy and connection are not available to me.
Mhm.
Um, as I alluded to before, there's a lot of people who don't feel like their bodies are entirely their own. And so, how can you experience deep pleasure in a body that is not even yours? Um, and then just society in general. I think we're socially conditioned to just do what is expected and do what is perceived as normal. And your family had a script, or whoever raised you had a script of what was right and normal and what adults do. And so that's what we were taught. And that is very rarely anything about deep connection and pleasure.
Mhm.
you know, it's get up, go to work, come home, make dinner, maybe do a little cleaning, take care of the kids if you have kids, go to bed, do it again, because that's the only way you can be a productive member of society. And that is what we have, not only what's expected of us, but it's what we have to do to survive. We have to make money to
Mhm.
survive. So there's not a lot of work where we're enraptured in pleasure and getting paid for it. you know?
Right. Right. Yeah, that's so true. In fact, I think the world that, especially in America, the way that we're set up is quite the opposite. It's most of us go to work to a job we don't want to be at. We give all of our energy and effort and connection to that experience. And then we get home and we don't have the energy to invest in the things or the people that we want to. And we certainly don't have the energy to create a world of pleasure for ourselves at that point. And then we're walking around asleep, not alive, exactly where they want us, so that manipulation is fucking easier. Period.
Yeah.
Because when
You
we are
can't
oh, go ahead.
you can't have a bunch of worker bees producing if they're all experiencing deep connection and pleasure because they're not going to accept a life otherwise if
Right,
they've had that.
right. And in some ways, while COVID really, I think there might just be a little bit of a delay, so that's why I keep kind of talking over you. But um,
There is.
yeah, no, it's all good. But in some ways, I think COVID really did us a um while it did, it did a lot of harm, it also did a lot of good because people were stepping out of the workforce field, just like you were talking about, and able to tap into that place of slowing down and asking myself the questions like, what do I really want? I don't want this shit. I don't want to go back to that life, you know? And really being forced into creating some level of pleasure because we were going bananas just sitting in the
Mhm.
house. So it's like, okay, how can we create fun? I remember I lived with two of my best friends at the time during COVID, which was such a gift. But we all like bought rollerblades and we had this little playground that we lived by and we would go play at that and then we would ride bikes and it was just like pleasure in these things that we never had space for before or created space for, you know? So I think it was a huge turning point for a lot of people.
Most definitely. Yeah, I agree. All of a sudden we had time.
Hmm.
And all of those things that we said that we would do if we had time, we realized that time wasn't the issue because now we had time and we still weren't doing them. Like
Yeah.
we got to think about, do I actually enjoy my job? because
Absolutely.
you don't have time to think about any of this stuff when you're exhausted. And I don't have kids or a partner, and I can't imagine
No.
the amount of effort that it takes to take care of children and a partner and a household and all of that stuff. And then also sit down and think, what do I actually want? Because it doesn't matter. You have to do, you
Yeah.
know?
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah. Oh my, I was just thinking about what it would be like to have a kid through all of that on top of that too. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Like,
my
and now I'm
heart
at a
goes out to people.
yeah. And now I'm at a point in my life where I am building a business. I refuse to ever go back to the workforce ever in my life. I will strip before I do some shit like that. Like I will never ever go back to a 9 to 5 job in my life. And I feel like that's the only way that I would ever want to bring kids into this world is being able to be the person who creates my own schedule and has the freedom and flexibility to invest in that way in my family and in myself. Yeah.
Almost a, yeah.
Yeah. How do you think pleasure and worthiness are correlated?
Oh, you have to believe that you're worthy of pleasure to really sink into it, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a big piece of the work too. It's not only this is my body and I own it, but it's also this body and this mind deserve connection and pleasure.
Mm,
Um, even just pleasure. You know, we can have massive amounts of pleasure without connecting with another human, just with connecting with ourselves. And you have to get to the point, I shouldn't say you have to, because that puts a lot of pressure on. It's good to do the work to work towards understanding that you do deserve pleasure. Everyone deserves. And even if you can just get a tiny little bit, like, you know, maybe you're sitting in a meeting and you just touch your shoulder and you go, oh, that actually feels kind of nice.
mhm.
I at least deserve that. I at least deserve to touch my own shoulder and appreciate that that feels a little bit nice.
Mm,
And
mhm.
slowly move into more and more, um, you know, whether it's experiencing food or touching your own skin, or during COVID, I actually went into clinical touch starvation or skin hunger
Mm,
because we need to be touched. Um, there's studies done on babies that are horrific, but we need touch. They proved it. And so during that time, I was lucky enough to have a therapist reach out to me and say, I think you're experiencing touch starvation. And she offered me a bunch of tools. So even if it's just getting a really, really soft, fuzzy blanket and just feeling how that soft fuzziness feels on your skin. And that's what she had me do. She was like, you need lots of wonderful textures that you can feel with your skin, with your whole body, if possible, to get that substitution for touch. So it's like, even if you can for 5 minutes roll around naked on a soft, fuzzy blanket and know that you deserve to feel how soft that is.
mm,
Just like the tiniest little steps that you can build up to the point where you're able to experience and know that you deserve intense pleasure by yourself or with another person.
mm, mm. Thank you for sharing those examples because I think a lot of people hear pleasure and they immediately think sex. And that is not, yes, that is one form of pleasure, but there
Yeah.
is pleasure is really about connecting deeply in the presence of your senses and what that feels like, you know? Um, and I have found so much pleasure in the mundane in this last chapter of my life of when and I say mundane, it's someone else's mundane at this point because to me it feels like a big deal. Sitting on my patio and watching, I feel like Snow White sometimes because I have like all these squirrels and birds and they come and eat the bird food and it's like a playground out there for animals. And while that sounds mundane to someone else, it feels like a deep pleasure to me to be present in that experience. Or going on a walk and feeling the sun on your skin, or tasting some really good food that is deeply aromatic, and and then like as of rec as of lately, I have really started to dip into the arena of finding pleasure in being with my naked body, just like in front of a mirror. I remember I was on a video with you guys, and I'm like in my mirror, full length mirror, naked, drinking a smoothie, and I was like, I am enjoying this. And there is nothing sexual happening right now, but I am fully enjoying the experience of this, you know? So,
Yeah, beautiful. I loved that. Yeah. And I still love it now. Yeah, I don't like pleasure absolutely doesn't have to be sexual. Even if you're naked, like it's your body. You can be naked and not be sexual about it. Like I think that one of the keys to pleasure is that you need to be fully present to
mhm,
experience pleasure. And that is really like the key to almost everything is being present, being here now. And if you're touching your skin and just feeling that, like you have to be here right now to really pay attention to. And if people struggle with things like meditation, like first of all, it doesn't have to be complicated. I listen to music and meditate. Like you don't have to completely clear your mind, be the Buddha. You can literally just sit there and just focus on how your fingers feel on your shoulder, or if you like a smell, light a candle and just focus on that. And that being really, really present in the moment is literally all we have. The only thing that's real is right now.
right.
Everything else is a memory or fantasy.
Mhm.
So,
Yes.
in order to be fully in pleasure, we can't be thinking about what we have to do next or what happened an hour ago or any of that. So, it is almost a meditation in of itself.
Mm.
So, like you said, walking. Like I've gone for a short little hour-long hike the last 2 days. And I had that voice that said, "You should be working right now." And I said, "This is work.
Mm.
I need to go be in nature and enjoy myself and experience the pleasure and the joy of the smells and the sounds and everything that has to do with." I mean, I live in the Pacific Northwest. I'm walking through a rainforest.
Mm.
This is the work. This is my soul work. So that is absolutely pleasure. And there was nothing sexual about it. It was just me by myself, standing and looking at how the sun was cutting through the trees and hitting the leaves in a particular way. And there was all these little flowers blooming. Yes, absolute pleasure.
Mm. Thank you for sharing that. So your passion to me seems along the lines of creating space for people to learn how to give themselves permission to experience pleasure with themselves and with other people. Is that correct? And deeper intimacy. Yes, right?
What was the last thing you said? It cut
Oh,
out.
and deeper, that's okay. And deeper intimacy with themselves and with other people. Correct? Yeah. So what were
Yeah, I
some,
think that sums it.
okay. The delay is funny. We're working with it, girl. But my question was, what were some of the life experiences that because I believe our passion oftentimes comes from, the pain and the wounding of the opposite, right? And so, at least my experience. And so, what were some of the, life experiences that led you to um, really finding deep interest in creating pleasure in your life?
Mm. Well, it started first with comfort. After my motorcycle accident where I had the fluctuating virus, comfort was incredibly important to me because I was so massively uncomfortable for about a year. I was in the hospital for 7 weeks, and then it took months and months to recover. Um, so at first, I just wanted to be comfortable. And then in 2019, I left my ex-husband at the time, and I started to date and really focus on myself. I started to meditate and stretch every day. Um, and during the time that I was alone a lot, I was stretching. And one of the nights that I was stretching, I realized how good it felt to just go really deep into this stretch. And I was like, I'm like actually feeling my body right now and giving her something that she needs and that she wants. Like I could tell that my body wanted to be stretched in this way. And so I started really focusing on how good it felt to move and stretch my body. And then, of course, with dating, there's different experiences of um, pleasure. I'm actually conscious that my mom might watch this.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah. Whatever is your comfort level here. I won't push you to dip your toes in that arena if you don't want it.
Well, ultimately, what it comes down to is that if I'm going into this work, I'm going to be talking about this stuff candidly. This is just the first time that I'm doing it,
Yeah.
not in a state. So I have this hesitation of like, oh, I can't really say that, but I can. I can say anything. I'm a 47-year-old woman. I can say whatever I want.
I get it though.
Yeah. And find pleasure in it, right?
Totally. Totally.
So to be candid, there was not only the connecting with myself, but then I started connecting with other people. And in those connections with other people, I started to learn what was possible. And
Mm,
I had no idea what was possible in the bedroom.
mm,
Once I realized what was possible, I feel like my whole paradigm just exploded. And it was like, holy shit, our bodies are amazing. They're just incredible. And if everybody had access to that and was experiencing that on a regular basis, like I said, I literally think that that would be like world peace. Like, how could you go to war if
yeah.
you're having the most pleasurable evenings of your life every single It's like who's thinking about war? Like,
Literally.
yeah. So it's a lot of things that have slowly come together. Oh, and then I also went to a few like introduction to Tantra or sacred embodiment, depending on who is teaching and who is present. And that's all about connection. Like Western Tantra, I think a lot of people, just like we were talking about with pleasure, immediately associate with sex. But traditional Tantra is not sex focused, it's connection focused. It's a lot of sitting and looking at into another person's eyes. And that's it. You're just looking at this other human being and recognizing them. You see yourself in them. I mean, the experience that I had pretty much every time actually that I gaze with somebody is we're looking at ourselves. We're all people, we're all human. And I'm looking at myself in their eyes. They're looking at themselves in my eyes. We're experiencing God between us.
Mm,
And that kind of connection is uncomfortable because we're not used to it. We fill up the space with sounds, with our voices, with movement, with breaking eye contact because it's hard to really be seen. I mean, a lot of the times, like you saw in Bridge, just staring into someone's eyes and not breaking eye contact can bring you to absolute sobbing tears
yeah.
because somebody is seeing you
Mhm.
really hard. and really beautiful. And I have no idea what the question was, because now I'm just thinking about how beautiful it is to connect with people in that way.
No, yeah, I don't either, but that I love this topic because I remember so when I first got sober, obviously none of us come to that point with a whole lot of self-worth, or most of us come enter into that space with a lot of self-hatred. And I had that, and then I also had deep disconnection with my body because I was overweight for all of my life and had so much body shame and, then trauma and all the things, right? And and so I come in with all of these labels for myself and all of the reasons why um, I don't want to be seen, or why that feels super scary or whatever. And you don't step into being able to receive overnight. It is such a gradual process. But I kept showing up to these like women's circles, and I kept, moving through just micro movements of allowing myself to be seen and received and receive. And I remember the first time that I did eye gazing, and it was a combination of complete discomfort and fawning and laughing. And because that's what I do when I'm really uncomfortable, I am known to deflect with humor. And I mean, I got kicked out of classes when I was in middle school and high school for laughing, and I could not stop. Once I start, like, I can't. So, but I remember the first time that I allowed myself to really drop into that experience. And there is no deeper intimacy than to be held and hold someone in that space where you are quite literally looking at the universe in someone else's eyes. And um and so yeah, that I guess my whole point is that, if you're listening to this and you find that you are somebody who really struggles to receive, like, it happens in micro doses. Like, it is something that our capacity has to be stretched for. And I was just reflecting on the beauty of that journey of being able to sit in the presence of someone else, another woman, another man, and just receive, you know?
Yeah. Knowing that you're worth being looked at and that
Mm,
people love at you.
yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on the journey, as you know, of like really allowing that with my body, right? Like, I can do that clothed, no problem. But like, when to allow someone to see you in your rarest form with all of your, you know, imperfections that are really perfect, but the society has conditioned us to believe otherwise. Um, it's powerful. It's powerful. And I think about the percentage of the world that will never allow themselves to experience that in this lifetime. And what a cool thing that we get to be on this journey of deepening that and deepening intimacy with ourselves and with other people, and and get to do it alongside people like you, you know?
Yeah.
I
It
can't
makes
wait till you're a fucking teacher. I'm gonna take your classes, whatever you got going on.
it makes me think of an analogy that I used with somebody recently, about like going into the traveling full time and completely changing my life. And it's also in the realm of accepting ourselves and our bodies exactly how they are. And that's that we all feel like we're in these cages.
Mm,
But if you open your eyes and look around, the door is wide open. You're choosing to stay there. You can step out. It's just hard. Like, it's
mhm.
not easy. And I would never try to tell somebody, well, just do it. It's fine. Like, no, it's fucking hard.
It's
And
hard.
sometimes it's a dismantling of a lifetime
Mm,
of things that you thought were facts. And you have to completely shatter those paradigms because if you want to experience pleasure and deep acceptance and love and presence, you got to step out of what the world is telling us to do because it's wrong.
Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's the thing that I really got out of Bridge was being on the ledge or on the edge of something really terrifying over and over and over again and being like, are you going to do it? Are you going to do it? Or are you just going to jump in? And then jumping and then having to hold yourself, right? And regulate and being like, oh shit, it's not that fucking bad.
Yeah.
You didn't die. You're
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And everyone's not pointing and laughing and everybody is feeling the same things that you are.
Yeah.
And if they're not, it's probably because of shame and judgment, which is something that they need to work through and has nothing to do with you.
What permission have you given yourself lately?
Permission to rest. Yesterday, actually on the call with Preston, I feel like Preston gave me permission to not furiously jump into building the next career and that's okay to just step into it slowly. And that is an absolute privilege that I have that I'm able to step into that slowly. And I know that not everyone's able to do that. And I've been really working on noticing the wonderful moments. The other night, I had some really beautiful mellow music on. I was burning incense. A man that I have a crush on had just messaged me, and I put the phone down and I was like, well, that was lovely. And I was like, wait, all of this is lovely.
Mm.
It has nothing to do with him. It feels good. Like the home that I've built feels so good. And I treat myself really well.
Mm.
And being able to sit in those moments of being like, this is good. I don't have everything I want. I don't have the companionship that I want. But what I do have is so wonderful and actually deeply pleasurable. So stopping myself in those moments and making sure that I pay attention. Even in traffic, you can look at the clouds or the trees on the side of the road. Like there's beautiful things in almost everything. Yeah.
Everything. Oh my gosh, I was tearing up when you were saying that you treat yourself really well because you do, from what I have seen. Um, I share the same sentiment, you know? What a beautiful thing to nourish yourself in all of the ways that we do. That was not my experience before. That was not my truth.
Yeah. Yeah, same. I mean, I quit drinking nearly 17 years ago now when I was drinking heavily and smoking at least a pack a day and just doing all of these self-destructive things. I was not thinking about treating myself well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now it's that contrast, right? Like we have the contrast of being an addict and then not being an addict, and the contrast of being deeply in pain and then being in pleasure. And I think those contrasts are what really helps us appreciate all the good stuff.
Yeah. Absolutely. What rules are you no longer living by?
Oh man. I don't know that I lived by very many societal rules ever. I mean, I went into the tattoo industry because I didn't buy into all of all my art teachers wanted me to be an art teacher. And I was like, I don't want to be an art teacher.
Yeah.
No, there's nothing. I mean, it's what I love that. And there's nothing wrong with being an art teacher, but I didn't want that. I didn't want that sort of 9 to 5. Then they wanted me to be a graphic designer. I was like, I'm going to be a tattoo artist.
Mm-hmm.
So, but lately, I think the rules that I'm trying to, or that I am dropping, um, that I have to be here. I don't
Mm-hmm.
have, I don't have kids. I don't have a partner. I don't even have a job anymore.
Yeah.
There is nothing keeping me here. And I've been in the Seattle area since 2001. So 25 years of being here, and there's no reason for me to be here. I can go anywhere. I have a passport. Like,
Mhm.
there's no rule about where I need to be or have to be. Um, there's no rule that says that I can't be happy on my own. Uh,
Mhm.
that's a big struggle for me because I do really, really want a partner, but I'm not going to settle. So I also have to work towards being at peace with potentially being on my own for the rest of my life and that being okay
Mhm.
and building a big, beautiful life for myself, no matter what happens, whether that's going to be with a partner or not. Um, Lots of rules about food because I'm working with a functional medicine doctor. Um, so much like I feel like anytime I realize that I'm living by some made up rule, I try to focus on that and say, wait, whose voice is this?
Yeah.
Because it's hardly ever my voice. It's
Oh,
some
yeah.
voice I was a kid saying this is how it is. This is how it's supposed to be. Um, but those aren't my voices and those aren't my rules. So trying to dismantle everything. And I think traveling full time is going to shatter a ton of the rules that I think that I have to live by.
Yeah.
Um, One of the things that I was just talking to someone about travel is that when you go to other cultures, you realize things that you thought all humans do are your culture.
Mm.
Not do those things at all. In fact, they do something completely different. And so you have to, we don't have to, but the goal for me, and I love it when that happens because the goal for me is to really take that in and be like, oh, that's just culture.
Yeah.
And that's just because of where I live. If I had been born in a different country, I would have a completely different set of rules for being a human and things that I do on a daily basis. The way that you cook an egg, like everything is just made up in
Mhm.
ways. And you go to other places and experience other cultures and other people, you first of all realize how similar we are.
Yeah.
And then you realize how many things are not actually rules at all. And you can do something completely different.
Wow. That is such a good point. I've literally never thought of it that way. It's so true though. It is
Yeah.
so true. Everything is fucking made up.
Yeah.
Literally.
And when I was in Greece, there was people in my class from all over the world. And so we would talk about differences that we had. And the first thing that goes through your head is like, that's not how you do that. That's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Literally think that this is like a human rule.
Yeah.
And then they explain why they do it or how they do it. And it's like, oh God, I have to realize that that is not right or wrong. It's cultural.
Such a good point. Such a good point. Yes. If someone listening feels stuck in a life that looks good on paper but feels misaligned, what would you want them to know?
Hmm. The first thing that comes to mind is that it's hard for me to address anything that has to do with having kids or a family
Mm.
because that is not my experience. So I can't speak to that. Um, because I couldn't do almost anything that I did if I had been if I had made that choice. I would say just baby steps. Just do one little thing. Like even if you do have so much stuff going on that you don't feel like you have a minute to yourself, I mean, you go to the bathroom sometimes. You're probably alone, probably. I've heard some moms aren't even alone when they go to the bathroom, but at some point, there's got to be like 5 minutes where you're alone. Can you just do a little thing that's just for you in that moment that
Mm-hmm.
feels and that can make you go into your body? Oh, and breath work is coming to me. If you can just look up on YouTube breathwork videos and just learn how to do different types of breath. As soon as you get in the car, take 30 seconds to take 3 nice deep breaths and say ah when you're letting out the air, just like we did before we started recording. 2 big ah. And this gets you into your sympathetic nervous system and it calms your body down. Because if you were in danger, if you go into your primal mind, if there was a lion close to you, there's no way you would take a deep breath and audibly sigh. It's everything that says I'm in danger. So you're communicating to your entire body, your vagus nerve, everything. I'm safe right now. So I think if people could do one thing, it would be take some nice deep breaths with audible sighs as many times in the day as possible. Maybe put a hand on your heart. Yourself in your mind. I'm safe. I'm safe in my body.
Love that. Opal, where can we find you? I know you're going to start doing some videos and, on your journey. And for those that are interested in following you, where can we find you?
I just changed my name on Instagram because my name, my whole life has been Christy, and I've only recently started going by Opal. So on Instagram, it's Opal_Lillian_. Opal_Lillian_. And I'll be posting travel stuff there for sure. I also have a TikTok that I think is the same name, but I can send that to you.
Yeah.
So yeah, just follow me on Instagram.
So fun. I am so deeply proud of you, excited for you, and can't wait to be on the sidelines watching the whole journey unfold. It has just been such an honor to get to know such a special human like you. So,
you too. You don't have to be on the sidelines. I'm going to drag you as long as.
That's right. That's right. We're going to adventure when you come to Austin. We're going on an adventure for sure. Yes. Well, thank you so much for your time, and yeah, I can't wait to see you. Excited for you.
Yeah. Appreciate you.
May the cord that binds us to one another and to Source remind you that you are never alone, always guided, and always home. Until next time.